we are discussing what are the barriers and the obstacles in the path and how to remove those obstacles. So, in the Sutra number 29, we understand that Om meditation has to be done in a specific way. Simply saying Om, Om, Om will not work. So, we have to go deeper, understand the meaning, and then the there are different ways of doing the Om meditation. The way the mind is projecting happiness in the material world, we ask the mind to project the inner reality through the Om. So Om meditation has to be done with the meaning, with an essence. That was we covered in Yoga Sutra 29. And in Yoga Sutra, first chapter in 30, we understood 9 basic fundamental obstacles that prevents to reach to the highest state. That includes the physical illness, laziness, doubt, and attachment or carelessness, sloth, avirati means sensuality, and delusion, and not able to see a place which is just seen, and instability. It also leads to 4 different kinds of symptoms. The shortness of the breath, that we all know. Look at Patanjali, who has written almost the book 2500 years ago when there was no biology and psychology. And we used to, now we realize, oh, suffering, depression, nervousness, or shaking of the body, and agitated breathing are these signs of these challenges that comes from inside. Now, the Patanjali says how to remove those obstacles. Now, what happens? Majority of the people understand that here is an obstacle, huh, and we must have a specific method to remove these obstacles first, followed by we will continue the practice. So let me remove the obstacle first, and then I will absorb into Om meditation. That is not the way Patanjali is explaining. Patanjali is saying you have to apply the same 2 steps that he has explained before in couple of the sutras. Abhyas Vairagyabhyam Tannirodha. Regular practice with dispassion, with wisdom, again is the key to overcome all the obstacles. Means what? So once we learn the practice, we have started doing, we find these obstacle enters into our life. So the teacher may customize the steps of a practice, but ultimately we have to follow these these 2 principles, abhyas, regular practice, but with wisdom, not without, not unconsciously, not habitually. If I am doing the practice habitually without the wisdom, attachment continues. So the inner attachment continues. Surface level say, I have closed my eyes, now I don't see any object for which I am infatuated and passionate about it, but the mind is constantly coloring my mind with that attachment. So I need to understand I should have a wisdom and a clarity and a doubt free mind. If that does the practice, any mantra, including the Om, becomes uh, the most powerful mantra in life. There is one more aspect that is deeply hidden in this sutra. I mean to say, the sutra number 32. He says, yeah, for example, I give very higher meditation practices. I'm giving to two people nowadays, almost twice or thrice a week. Uh, I say that your eyes are closed, okay. You are looking inside the head, okay. The body is steady, okay. Now, are you aware of the space inside? Yes. Now discover even the 1% of calmness. Become aware of that calmness. Now see that what breaks the continuity of calmness. So you become more and more aware of those challenges that breaks the continuity of the calmness, but the calmness is already there. We did not create that calmness in our. That is the case. I have explained what I explained. If the mind is going to the different objects of distraction, that is from A to Z, and we pick up an object like F, so we simply become aware of F when other alphabets or other objects come into the mind. We need not to control the mind. That process is known as one pointedness in Patanjali Yoga Sutra. It is different from modern psychology, which says focus, concentration, oscillation of attention, and focus of attention. That is how modern psychology talks about it. We say, let any thought come into your mind. At the same time, are you aware of that object of meditation also? So, or you may superimpose rather than reacting or resisting. That is quite a very deeper understanding. There is no river, but flow of the river is called river. The mind is like a river. It exists as flow of thought patterns. Still, it does not exist because thoughts are changing constantly. So when there is a flow of one thought again and again, it may be known as one pointedness of the mind. The river does know, huh? If the river is not there, the mind is not there. So if there is no river, the water stagnates. Similarly, when mind is assumed to become still, mind will not be there. It's a quite little appears tricky. As we are discussing the one pointedness of the mind, it clearly means the flow of awareness on one object. So, our understanding of that one pointedness is different from the focus and concentration of modern psychology. In that regard, we follow the same process, a regular practice with the wisdom. I covered in detail what exactly is abhyasa. So we understand from the first sutra that this mind lives in five subjective states, First three subjective states, yoga or mindfulness, cannot happen. It can happen only in the last two states, that means one pointedness and emptiness of the mind. Now, in relationship to the practice, what we are doing, first I should become aware of that one pointedness in the mind. And then I continue to maintain my awareness on that one pointedness of the mind becomes a practice supported by the dispassion and discernment. Normally, what we say, oh, I have learned mindfulness, close your eyes, focus on the breath. No, it will not work. It doesn't mean it does not work in a sense that it will give you little relaxation and a calmness, but ultimately, after a few repetitions, the mind rejects it. It says, no, it is not giving me the ultimate state of the peace and calmness. So, knowledge of the self understood intellectually is the object of meditation. That is the abhyasa, that is the practice. It needs to be clearly understood. Regular practice with wisdom drops and dissolves the challenge, huh? The challenges and the problems that we discussed. There are 9 obstacles and 4 symptoms. Now we move to the couple of sutras, the 8th sutra that gives you 20 practices to remove that obstacle. And some of these practices should be done in our daily life, in professional life, in social life. And the first of them explains the 4 practices. Maitri Karuna Mudita Upekshana Sukham Dukkha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanat Chakta Prasadana. I don't like you, I hate you, my mind says. So I have to change that mind first before changing a person whom I hate. Look at it, look at the Patanjali. No, I like you so much so that I get obsessed. I have to remove that obsession, keep that liking as a friendliness. That is the beauty. It demands first minimum 2 weeks of daily contemplation. How you start? Before I go to the sutra, you sit every day for minimum half an hour. In the evening, you relive all the past events that happened today since you're waking, since the time you wake up, and until you started the contemplation. And now your mind recalls, I talked to a person. What I was talking outside was different than what I was feeling inside. And it will not happen in one day. Minimum, it needs 5 to 6 weeks of contemplation and reflection. We relive that even. So maybe after a few weeks, we will understand what the mind is feeling inside and what I'm talking outside.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Do you want that practice specific included in the book, or shall that just between you and I?
No, it has to be included in the book.
I don't see that you've put it out here. So
It is on the page number 9. My Yoga Sutra 33. 4 great tips to remove obstacles in daily life.
yes, but I don't see the 30 minutes in the evening reviewing the day.
Yeah, that I did not. So you should include that.
You do want that in there?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah. Yeah.
We could put that at the end of the book like we did with the other
No, no, no,
practices
just in the sutra itself.
in there.
That
Okay,
would
thank
be
you.
better.
Okay.
Now I speak extempore, even looking at it. So I this idea revealed that what my master used to say. So once we, after 4 and 5 weeks, we start understanding what I feel inside. So this sutra says, I have to change that feeling. It is not I have to speak openly with a dry statement. Thank you, Casey. You have done a great job, but my mind is feeling something different inside. That once we recognize after 4 weeks, then we come back to the sutra because we have understood the sutra. So, what the sutra says, Maitri, friendliness, Karuna, kindness or compassion, huh? And then, no, compassion, Karuna and Mudita. Mudita is kindness or contentment, and indifference is upeksha. So the four qualities should live in the mind, living my family, professional, social life when I interact with the world outside. When you have these four steps working constantly, you will realize the mental obstacles, the influx of the thoughts, the craziness of the mind, the obsession and the attachment start dissolving. So then Patanjali gives another clue to this: friendliness towards whom? Those who live with the virtues in the life. The sutra gives 4 steps or practices to remove distractions of the mind. The mind should remain aware of the traits of happiness, kindness, indifference, and friendliness. That is why we need to do that for week practice of contemplation and reflection. Now everything is clear. So it should be in thought, speech, and feeling and action. It begins with the pratyaya, withdrawal of the mind, then cultivating these traits within the mind. That is what I explained by the step we should undertake. When the mind lives and works in these states, the expression outside with the people become play and a fun, and mind becomes free from distraction. Then we realize what it means by living different roles at different times. Without understanding the inner working of the mind, this will not work. No, no, I'm always friendly to everyone and still I'm depressed. So you are crazy guy. Still you are depressed. Friendliness should be should start from inside. It should not start from simply a dry thought. I am friend to everyone and everyone makes me crazy. So what is that reason? So if we go a little deeper, then we see reorientation. It is, you may say, it is a reorientation of the mind. When the rajas guna is active, the mind keeps running after objects, people, things of the world. This state of the mind is opposed to sato guna, which is prerequisites to any practice of meditation, and also the prerequisites of practice of these four traits. Outside satoguna, inside rajoguna, nothing will work. Outside satoguna, inside tamoguna will not work. So the Patanjali is saying inside should be satoguna. Outside may be rajoguna. I will not listen to you. You are crazy. So, but I'm saying out of the satoguna to get the things done. I'm playing my role It will not affect me. It will not cause unnecessary thought pattern. I will not be scared and fearful. Tamoguna leads to sleepiness, lethargies, and wrong notion keeps the mind outside in the world. So here I have given the cause why the distractions are there on the basis of Rajoguna and Tamoguna. Satoguna reveals the true nature of the mind. What is the true nature? Peace, calm, knowledge, one pointedness, seeking and searching the self. Now, the present sutra says, let us start awakening to Satoguna inside your mind. Keep your mind like a flexible like a monkey. Oh, there is an event of anxiety comes. Allow the mind to jump to Satoguna first before you express anything. That is the beauty of this sage. Now, what he says the friendliness, compassion, kindness, and indifference, these are the traits of the mind revealed naturally, who works on his mind to inculcate, to awaken to Satoguna. Patanjali points out that these traits can help the seeker to retain the state of meditation by changing his responses to different kinds of people with whom we are living. Another reason, huh? I'm just bringing the clarity of the subject. So, why? That is the way the yoga should be learned. What is that? The first step is Shravanam, learning and listening the principle. I don't know, let me know the principle. Second step, I don't understand, let me understand it. So these traits, when applied with the people in the world, help the seeker to progress fast in the journey. Then I'm living either in the Himalayas or in the world here, doesn't make any difference. Now my mind responds with the Satoguna outside. So, four attributes towards four types of people. What says? A seeker keeps attitude of friendliness who are happy and wealthy. My master used to tell me one thing: those who are wealthy, those who are powerful, those who are more beautiful, or have beautiful in the sense those who have greater traits than you should respect them. You should move towards them with a friendliness, even if these people are crazy. It is not for the sake of grabbing their money or beauty or something else. I remember, just now I remembered, he used to say to, okay, what he is doing, why you left contact with that guy. And then I met another great master who is recognized a great master in USA and also in India. He has written one of the very interesting book on Patanjali, commentary on Patanjali Yoga Sutra. That book is around 2000 pages long. So when I was in India, he used to invite me. I used to adore his master. His master was a great enlightened master. So many Americans used to come to India, and I used to give classes to them on behalf of this master. And he used to pay me. After 2 years, my master told me, stop going there. I said, agreed, done, finished. I will not go. So even he used to call me, I did not respond. I said, no, I will follow my master. So, because he felt that I'm taking over, I'm more recognized amongst his students. After a few months, he had enmity, hatred, and jealousy against me. Now he left, so I'm not telling you the name. He left his body. That is how my master used to teach us these four uh, practices. So a seeker keeps attitude of friendliness who are happy and wealthy, compassion who are suffering, compassion, no sympathy, no sentimentalism. Oh, my dog is suffering, and then I have tears in eyes. This is sentiment. Compassion, my friend. Compassion, no sentiments. Sentiment is Raju and Tamoguna. Are you getting it? I'm pointing to you. Compassion who are suffering, kindness who give, who are givers to the society, and indifferent who are cruel and living in ignorance. Even if you tell him the right thing, he doesn't want to listen. So keep indifferent. So sometimes people say you are wrong. I said you are 100% right that I'm wrong. Who cares? But at the same time, I look back whether I'm really wrong. No, I'm not wrong. I'm okay. Why should I respond to you? You cannot give me a certificate that I'm wrong or right. I will apply the principles and find out. But still, I don't destroy the relationship. Indifference does not mean that I stop talking, you are like this, so that, this guy is like this, I will stop talking. No. Mind perceives different people differently. It depends on the attitude, skills, knowledge, traits, and personality. We need to avoid conflict and confusion in the mind. That may slow down the progress on the path. Why? I don't like a person. I go home. My mind is crazy and he repeats thinking about it. My mind starts thinking about that person. But when I'm indifferent, when I have a friendliness, attitude of friendliness, when I have an attitude of compassion, when I have an attitude of kindness, nothing happens. I'm okay. I'm fine. The seeker develops viveka, that evolve the mind to satoguna and minimize the impact of rajo and tamoguna. I'm repeating in a different way. The seeker in, it's not a repetition, it's a different expression. The seeker in satoguna is cheerful and bears the burden of people with these four traits or attitude. This is another part my master used to talk a lot. No, no, my honey is crazy. He or she inserted me. My master used to say, "Don't you have even a tolerance? Can't you tolerate? Keep quiet. Watch your mind. Change the state from Rajutamoguna to Satoguna." Now, here I don't teach about these things. If I teach women, they will say, after all, there is a women liberation. And if you teach men, then they have other arguments. After all, I'm supporting everything of my wife, and still my wife is doing like this. I don't understand. So it is difficult to understand these principles. Those who are totally obsessed with the objective material world lives in cause and effect. In fact, we are going beyond the cause and effect to come down to drop the distractions of the mind. When mind moves with the friendliness, compassion, kindness, and indifference with people around him, he succeeds in keeping his mind in the state of equanimity. What is that equanimity? Samata. Samatvam yoguchyate. Yoga is equanimity of the mind. our great master Krishna says. Four traits lessens the impact of ignorance and impurities entering from the vasana. That is one of the most beautiful results. Oh, we have acquired a particular habit to react, to resist, to anger, to anxious. With the people having certain attitude, behavior, and the traits. So it is because of the past impression that is accumulated, which is not known to the mind, that triggers and creates an impact in the mind. That is why I react and I fight. So, by following these four steps, we lessen the impact of ignorance and we release those past impressions. That gives a great boost to our meditation practice. So, this is what is all about four practices. Maitri, Karuna, Mudita, Upekshana. Four steps of the practice. Now, the fifth practice comes in the Yoga Sutra 34. Why we are doing those practices? That is an aid to the meditation that will help remove all the obstacles and that will deepen the practice of meditation. That is why we are learning. So sometimes we say, no, Patanjali never gives any practice of breathing or pranayama. So I am already saying that there are more than 20 practices in 8 sutras. So this is the fifth one. Prachanna Vidharanabhyam va pranasya. Removed all the obstacles. I have been saying, my friend, again and again, that the breathing practices, whether you say pranayama, has twofold purpose. Pranayama, the Patanjali clears in the second chapter. Dharana sucho yogyata manasaha. Where he says, you get a remarkable focus of the mind. And when we do the pranayama, we say, my kundalini is awakened. Now I feel a lot of sensations. So take a dose of marijuana, you will still feel the sensation. So how those two sensations can be differentiated? Only on the basis of a cause outside, but the sensation are the same. Second benefit, Patanjali speaks what he says, Tatakshiyate prakasha varnam. It removes the veil of ignorance. Ignorance, cause of suffering. One of the causes of ignorance is my past impression.
If you can hear me, sir, you're frozen.
What happened? Are you there? So, the pranayama. So, this is the fifth practice we are talking about. The connection was lost for a few minutes. So, let us continue our journey. Yes, the connection was lost for a few minutes. Purify the mind by pranayama to succeed in mindfulness. So, in a very simple way, in Hatha Yoga, we talk a lot about Nari, Shodhan, Surya Bhedi, Ujjayi, Bhastrika, Sheetali, Sheetkari, etc., etc., and Kevali. So here he says that just continue to do the breathing in a specific way for a couple of times to clear the mind. That is what you have seen, that sometime I give these practices uh, as a step in meditation or mindfulness. Coming to the Sutra 35, choose any object with the clarity to purify and focus the mind. So the 35 Sutra says, by contemplating things and impressions, intensifying sense activity which promotes mental stability and strength. And this sutra gives you minimum 100 different practices. I see the monitor. I like this monitor. Monitor is an object. Then I go deeply and see that what is that liking in my mind about the monitor. I keep my mind confined to the monitor only. And I start looking at different properties and attributes of that monitor in front of me. What happens? The, sh- the very object monitor disappears, and my mind is totally absorbed into different attributes. And to feel and experience those attributes is a subjective experience. So, if it is a subjective experience, then what? My mind has to go within. That is the message. How deeper this guy is. Vishaya vati va pravrati rutpannaha manasah sthiti nibandhino. You can easily confine the territory of the mind to gain the focus. What a beauty! I'm at fix. My mind is at fix. But what happens? That mind is obsessed with the object or a person. It is not looking at the very feeling of the beauty and the experience of the beauty is happening in my mind. I lost because of a particular object or a person outside. So he is not saying this. He says, go back, ask your mind, what is happening? What is that beauty? In a other masters explain that when you focus in an object, yeah, let me give you an example. What happens in this? What he says. What he says. Huh? Now, do you see that? Do you see that? The top line. There are four Four objects in the mind: A, B, C, D. Or you can add A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H up to millions of objects. Now you decided an object A. So do nothing, just remind yourself that you have chosen the object A. So A comes, then another thought comes, another object, again you remind A comes. So what is that circle? Circle is an external nature of an object. Now what happens by regular practice? You are able to hold your mind on the external nature of the object you have chosen. This is until now, these three layers talks about modern psychology. But as you continue the journey, now the external nature disappears. The name and the form and the label disappears. You go very deeper of the A, where there is no name, there is no label, but your mind goes to the essential nature of an object, and that is known as sampragyata samadhi. So, in order to achieve the first stage of the samadhi, this practice, sixth practice, works very well. Coming to the 36, Sutra 36. Vishokava Jyotishmati, or by contemplating the inner light that is free of suffering. Inner light. Two meanings. Inner light is my inner awareness. I have a headache. Does the brain also experiences? No. Can I become aware of that point in my body which has no pain and still I have a headache? One understanding is this. One understanding is this, that you have to contemplate on the inner light, means inner awareness. That awareness is not affected by pain, pleasure, duality, conflict. That is one meaning. Normally, people take a different meaning, that if I focus on a flame of a candle, ultimately that flame is seen deep inside my forehead or inside my heart. But that is a focus on the object. And that goes into the practice of Yoga Sutra 35. It is not Yoga Sutra 36. So he is talking about inner awareness. Inner awareness. So I have explained in a different way. This is another, I love this step, Yoga Sutra 37. If what is mutable in human beings is no longer personal servant of the desire, vitarag vishayam va chittam. Vitarag also means transcending, the person who has transcended all the attachments and detachments. So when I lived with my master, I saw him that he is vitarag. He is beyond all these attachment and detachment. So he becomes an object of my meditation, a living meditation, thinking meditation, talking, communicating meditation. So that is one meeting. Vitaraga Vishayam Va Chittam. The mind is beyond the duality of likes and dislikes, attachment and detachment, victory and defeat, profit and loss. Who causes this duality in the mind? The avidya, the ignorance, division and delusion. The mind that lives with vidya, with wisdom, with viveka, with discernment is pure mind. That is another way to understand this sutra. That is why the masters lay great emphasis on viveka. I have talked in detail even in Patanjali Yoga, Vivek Khatir Viplavahanopaya. What is the method of removing the ignorance? Patanjali says, settle your mind in Viveka, Vivek Khyati. That is what we discussed even in the first book, How to Succeed in Meditation. So you see that kind of viveka is explained. Now you see that another 38 sutra, or through knowledge that is derived from a nighttime dream. The seeker may use recalling dream state and sleep state to meditate when mind is crazy, lazy, obsessed, and hard to control. These are these I would say practices are for very lower level of seekers who has yet to become a seeker, who does not want to understand or who could not understand these higher principles. Then we say, did you have a dream? Yes. What dream you had? So the teacher asks and the student explains about the dream verbally. Now the teacher says, now close your eyes, relive into that dream. So when I'm reliving into that dream, at least I'm getting rid of the crazy thought pattern that takes place in the waking state. So Patanjali says, yes, either or ask. So once I have recalled and relived my dream that I saw yesterday or last week, then the teacher says, let us visit sleep. What is that kind of a sleep? Were you aware of the body? No. Were you aware of the mind? No. Just fake. Have a fake sleep. Fake sleep means what? And the moment the student speaks, no, no, it's a fake sleep. You are not, mind is not there. Your body moves. No, body is not there. So you get some kind of an idea of inner orientation, the mind moving within. Yatha abhimat dhyanadva. So here Patanjali gives you the liberty. Do any practice based on your belief, your dogma, do it. At least to get rid of these distractions and obstacles. Any one of the above practice can be chosen and practiced by the seeker. See that. So that completes this section total. So you see that again when we go back, I know you, yes, I know you. By your name and the form and the profession and your attitude and your habit and your personality. Can I say I know about you? I don't know you. That is the fact. I know about you. I don't know you. But what mistake we commit when we say, do you know your true nature? No, your true nature is your pure consciousness. It is permanent peace and happiness, love and wisdom. I don't get it. Come on. Why you don't get it? Where you don't get it? It is because the mind is not getting a direct experience. Why? So there is a problem in the mind. What is that problem in the mind? Either my Google activates on its own when I'm speaking loudly. So the mind either has the impurities, the six enemies, or it is constantly distracted. That distraction is known as projection vikshepa in yoga. Why the mind is distracted? where it is distracted. So it is distracted in the objects of the material world, people, place, things, and the mind is obsessed with an ideas of likes, dislikes, profit, loss, pain, pleasure, and all that stuff. That causes the nine obstacles. We need to remove those nine obstacles and the four symptoms that occurs in the mind to succeed in meditation. So we have 8 sutras and 20 practices given to us by Patanjali. He says, don't focus on one. Do all. Do only one. And if you fail in one, do the second. If you fail in the third, do in and based on your temperament to succeed in this journey.